This video is for the betrayer, the person who cheated, who knows it was their fault, and who is now trying to figure out how to show up in the wreckage that they created. Maybe you're already in therapy, maybe you're joined different groups, you start doing attachment work, you're reading every book that you can find. You know what you did, you're trying to be accountable, you're trying to be steady, you're trying to rebuild some kind of safety. And maybe your partner is still furious, or they've gone quiet. They might say that they're still open to reconciliation, but everything that they're doing signals the opposite. There's less texting, pulling back, putting walls up. All their friends are saying to leave. They're refusing couples counseling. And you're standing there doing everything that you think that you're supposed to do, and it doesn't seem to be working. So what can you do at this point? The most important shift that you can make is mentally. You need to fully own the fact that you messed up horribly and that you might lose this relationship, and that if you do, it's your fault. Sit with that. Not as self-punishment, not as me coming out here and trying to get all of the people mad at you, but just to get some clarity. When you accept this reality fully, you can stop trying to manage and control the other person's emotions. You can stop white-knuckling the outcome. You can stop operating out of fear disguised as effort. And then layer in this thought as well. Whether my partner stays or leaves, I want to be better. Not just for them, but for me and for every relationship, personal, family, friendship, romantic, that I'll have from this point forward. And I think that this second part is really important because this needs to not be a performance. It's really tempting to say, see, I'm going to therapy, check. See, I'm doing this, I've gave you my phone location, check. See, I've done XYZ, check. To kind of prove to the other person that you're trying. There is this belief, and I think men struggle with it a little bit more, but it's the idea that if I can do the right things, then I can fix this. If I take all the right steps, then success becomes inevitable. But that is not healing, and it's not growth, and oftentimes the hurt, betrayed partner can tell the difference pretty easily. And oftentimes it can just turn into control, like you're just trying to control the situation and making it look like you're changing. So within this acceptance of responsibility, of lack of control, of trying to do the right things for your own sake and also for them, but not just as a performance, there are two things that you need to balance once you have the mindset right. First is let the betrayed partner take the lead. Now let them decide the pace, let them decide what safety looks like, let them decide whether they want to try at all. Ask sincerely what they need from you. And do it without resentment, without scorekeeping, without a deadline. They have the right to take a pretty long while to get to where they need to be. But the second thing to balance is not disappearing into passivity. Letting the other person lead doesn't mean erasing yourself. It doesn't mean swallowing everything you feel and becoming a ghost. It also doesn't mean becoming a doormat and letting them walk all over you and use this against you for the rest of your life. It's not wrong to clearly and calmly say, I want to fight for this. I'm committed to changing whether you stay or go, but I want you to know I want to stay. You can say it, you can mean it, but you also don't want to be manipulative in constantly reminding them of it as if they're the one breaking things up. And you need to be able to walk the line between being supportive and not becoming passively desperate. And that's something that you just have to feel your way through. There's no exact recipe for it. Maybe a helpful way to think of it is you need to decenter yourself. You're not removing yourself from the equation entirely, but you're not the center of this story at this point. The person who was betrayed is. Assist them, help them, and if you can't, get out of the way. And I need you to understand that for some people, infidelity is a hard line. It's not something that they're willing to consider forgiving. And they might for a little while consider it, but it might just be something within their own values system where they say, no, if you cheat on me one time, I'm absolutely walking away. And they have every right to do that. And it might be true that they've already made that decision internally and they just need some time to get all of the pieces in place to practically be ready to walk away. That is a real possibility that you have to make peace with. And that doesn't mean that you give up trying, but you recognize the outcome is not yours to control. It's their choice. Your partner's healing is their healing. Their decision is their decision. Your job is not to engineer a specific result. It's to become who you should have been and trust that whatever comes next, you'll be ready for it. And I do want to say also that This isn't to diminish the fact that there could have been very real things that drove you to cheat. They could have been horrible, they could have been awful, they could have been negligent of you, they could have done things that were even worse than the betrayal itself, which in most cases isn't true, but it technically is possible. Even within that framework, I think that the best perspective you can have is still, that's not at all how I want to ever handle a difficult situation. If I'm trapped, I never want to feel like my only way out is by doing something awful. So, one way or another, you can't avoid it, even with me acknowledging that there might have been some conditions that made you feel like you were driven to do something extreme. Even with all that said, you know that it's not an excuse. You know that you don't want to be that person. Doing the work has to be for your own sake to become the person that you want to be. There's a lot more that could be said, but as far as kind of the high level strategic, what type of mindset should you have trying to repair, that's where you need to start from.